Another year of MLB The Show, and we're talking about 18 finally. It's here. We got Nick Livingston, Lance Leahy. We're ready, boys.
Go.
We are ready. Today we're covering a lot of interesting stuff. We're going to get into the weeds, and we're going to get interesting nuggets of information about hitting, gameplay, AI, a new legend, and we're going to break down the trailer you just watched for all the little details. And one other thing, we're going to have some sweepstakes later on. Just need to read a few things to you real quick.
Yeah!
Probably the most interesting stuff for the stream.
Let's go!
At 2:50 Pacific time, so in about 50 minutes from right now, listen for the keyword. There's no purchase necessary for the sweepstakes.
Woo!
Just got to be online at 3 o'clock Pacific time in about an hour to win. Got to be 13 years or older, U.S. resident or D.C.
Void where prohibited. Void where...
And we're putting the rules right now on theshownation.com and in the Twitch chat, so look for that link. But
love rules.
First off,
Love them.
That trailer. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Call your shot. Call your shot.
Let's take a closer look at it, shall we?
Let's do it.
We're going to run through real quick. We're going to look at some stuff. A lot of speculation as to what was in the trailer and what we teased. So we can't tell you everything, but we teased a lot of stuff in there. How many people noticed that the first shot of the trailer is actually Babe Ruth? That was a nice little Easter egg. Literally the first thing you see right there, Babe Ruth. Foreshadowing. Matt, hit us with the next slide. Then we did a real quick bang, bang, bang. Oh no, the words. Yep. And we showed you a bunch of stuff back to back, right? One of them was a new legend, Troy Percival. He averaged 35 saves per year between 96 and 2004.
And in the game, he can dial it up, throw some gas.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun closer.
Next slide, Matt. Lee Smith, third most saves all time.
Fastball slider guy, also can dial it up.
Gross.
Real good closer.
Next slide. Road to the show. Ooh. Can't tell you anything, but as you can see in this slide, a couple of big new technical developments here is that we've got clothing, off-the-field clothing being utilized, and there's a lot of heated debate online about whether this is a bus or a plane, and it's actually a Hyperloop. No, this is a bus, but there may be other environments in the game. We'll talk more about that on March 8th. Also, to clarify, this is Road to the Show specific. It's not franchise. Next slide. Okay, yeah, so more Road to the Show stuff we teased later in there. We'll talk more about that on the March 8th stream. A lot of fielding overhauls and camera changes. Next slide. As usual, we got a nice little new suite of like hairstyles, and the skin is looking real good this year. I don't know exactly the technical stuff, but I've heard the words subsurface scattering. Don't know if we have that, but it sounds cool, so it looks cool. Next slide. Doc Ellis, 121 wins in the 70s. Dude was a staple on the mound. He threw the no-hitter, which if you don't know what that means, go ahead and Google it and educate yourself. It's a legendary story of baseball lore.
Yep.
Pee Wee Reese, selected to the Hall of Fame in '84, 10-time All-Star, primary character in a popular movie about another person in our game, Jackie Robinson.
Yep, good contact fielding speed guy right here. He'll be fun to play with. Nice.
Next slide. This is a big one, and they're going to talk more about this later in the stream. So, I don't
Catcher
even know if to say
efficiency,
anything.
catcher blocking.
You know, little fun stuff about this. You see the paint on the fingernails.
Oh, yeah.
Sally is always looking fresh and smelling fresh. Little known fact, the ritual and the item in the game, perfume, was based on Salvador Perez's tendency to wear perfume so that the umpires will have a better experience calling the game behind him. That's a true story. Next slide.
This is why we do this. You don't learn these things.
Nothing goes ignored in our game. We are people of the details. Every little thing matters. You got some situational awareness being shown by Trey here. There's a lot of new stuff like that in the game. They're going to talk more about that in a later stream. Next slide. This is a home run camera bore. Is this just late Oppo power confirmed? I don't know. They'll talk more about that in the gameplay stream. Don Sutton is in the game. All-time great, selected to the Hall of Fame in '98, 7 most strikeouts, 10th most shutouts.
Good stamina.
Great stamina.
Great stamina.
Hence
Long
the
career.
shutouts. Benito Santiago behind the plate. His rookie card is going to be gross, I think, because in the rookie series, he's basically a 2020 guy, batted 300 that year.
34-game hit streak his rookie year, too. So, and he was an excellent defender all of his career.
Defensive great.
Yeah.
A lot of people were pretty hyped about the face mask. Did not expect that, but, safety first. So I don't know why I was surprised, especially if you're going to be destroying, marketing phrases off the screen, which I'm always a fan of. Going to need a face mask. Careful of the shards. Next slide. We got the judges' chambers. I'll give you 5 seconds to count the number of Ramones in this picture. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next slide. A lot of new crowd updates, though. They'll talk about that on a later stream. And then, of course, we revealed Babe Ruth, the fantasy smoke. What a feel-good moment.
I mean, we know you're excited. We were as excited, too, and we couldn't wait to tell you finally. It was awesome.
And then we got a couple of more slides that show that we sprinkled a lot of stuff in throughout the trailer that these guys are going to talk about on this stream or later streams. One of them is the post-play emotion has just been amped up, and they're going to talk more about that in a later stream, but we demonstrated a lot of moments for that. Next slide. Legend teams were teased on the thing. They are cool Diamond Dynasty uniforms made with the editor, but they may be teasing a feature to be discussed in detail later. And then this is a big one, and this is a great segue for me to get off the couch and bring somebody in who's going to have a lot more interesting things to say. The tag system. I'll say no more. I'll get off of here.
All right, Nick.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's so exciting. Oh, man, I'll go watch the rest of the stream. Have fun, everybody. Thanks for having me. Oh.
That's your trailer breakdown. Nick Livingston, thank you so much.
I need this mic.
We're going to swap mics real quick. As we're about to get into a lot of the gameplay and AI stuff we want to talk about, we're going to bring in our experts on this matter. And Lance, you've been working so much with Chris Gill, who's about to come on. And last year was a big change for us. We took a big step forward with the hitting, the gameplay. We saw ball physics introduced, a lot, very new stuff, a lot of hit variety. And this year, we have a new focus kind of on what's changing with all that.
Yeah, so I mean, our primary focus this year with gameplay is all about competitive gameplay, right? 2 players, hashing it out. Who's the best? Who's the king of the diamond? And all of our focus is about impacting and changing systems that have a really big impact on competitive gameplay. So obviously, as we have up here above us, tagging's huge in online gameplay, and we wanted to make a big change to that.
Here's Chris
Gill.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Does he have an official title there, Matt? There he is. Baseball. That's your official title. So
what are you guys talking about?
What's new in 18 and how, all the setup tags, the running tags, and the standing something tags? Standing free tags.
Standing free tag system. So we're super excited this year. We did a complete overhaul with our tagging system. And as everybody that's probably watching this stream understands and realizes that tags were a big problem last year, and especially in certain situations. I think I'll back up a little bit, and I heard you say it while I was getting my mic on. Yep. A lot of our what we were trying to do this year was create a more competitive, balanced online game. Yep. A lot of what we've done in the past has been, working on things specifically, but not so much focusing and concentrating on 2-player games. Right. And so what we found watching a lot of 2-player games and watching online was there were a lot of exploits, and there were a lot of frustrating things that would happen where you felt like you weren't in control. And so by doing a lot of focusing on those things and watching those games, we were able to figure out what those were, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is trying to make the online game a lot more competitive and balanced, and so at the end of the day, you don't feel like you were cheated in so many ways, right?
Absolutely.
We're gonna have a lot of examples showing 17 to 18. We're gonna have some graphics. We're gonna go through this. We're gonna go deeper than maybe we've ever gone before, just to show you kind of really how much effort and detail we put into all the new hitting, the tag system, fielding, from the catcher animations you kind of saw in the trailer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the AI team and the animation team has done an unbelievable job this year, working really hard. And I think everybody's going to be really excited. you guys made some slides, right? Do you want to pull those up and we can just talk about the tags? Some of the comparisons are really cool because what you'll see in 17 are the things that you're used to right now, where, an example here, he slid back in and you can see that the tag wasn't applied. And then if we show you what we have in 18, right. He's positioned a little bit different, right?
Yep.
He's not only out of the way of the runner coming back, so
he's ready for it.
We're creating less the interpenetration between the two players, but you can see the precision on the tag here where the gloves exactly on the hand. And I do want to mention that the guy that wrote the tag system is the same guy that wrote the running system, and the significance of that is that it's all about times and knowing where the runner is. If you're going to tag somebody, you want to know where his hand is, where his foot is in time, how long it takes someone to get there. So no better person to write that logic than the guy that did the running. And because he's used to that code, they work hand in hand together. So it's unbelievable the difference between last year and this year. Super excited about it. So here's another really good example of the accuracy of the tag.
Yeah,
right on the foot.
Yeah,
more realistic, smarter. I mean, it just seems like it looks right. It looks right. We got it.
Here's another example of 17, and I think this is
cool.
This is a rundown situation. I know rundowns were a big problem, and especially online, and it would be really frustrating. Where an example here is where the users put into a run, but he plays a standing tag instead of a running tag. Right. And there were ways to exploit the base running, and I know online you would get a lot of guys that would do this on purpose just to score a run from third. Right. And so this is kind of what I was talking about. You can see the precision here now.
He did it with the ball in his hand there.
He did. He'll do it with the ball in his hand or with the ball in his glove. I mean, technically, you'd want to probably tag a guy with the ball in your glove, but it just depends on where it ends up in his hand at the time. So whatever the play was before, if he's running, the ball happens to be in his glove, he'll tag with the glove, and vice versa with the ball in his hand. So this is another funny one. So it's kind of embarrassing to know that this was actually in 17, but I'm happy to say that this has been resolved. And here's an example in 18 of what happens when you try to run through a base when you should be sliding. And again, this is another exploit that was happening online quite a bit. Guys would just continue to run. And once you learn that system and learn those exploits, it kind of, creates, a less than fun environment, I think, online. And people get extremely, pissed off at each other.
Well, and the runner didn't go right through them either, right?
Exactly. So, there was a lot of choreographing in the motion capture studio and tons of tags. I mean, we have tags all different heights. So we have standing tags, running tags, ball in hand, ball in glove, and rundown tags. All the setup tags at the base have been refined so that there's pinpoint control for the glove going on, the home plate slides, and tags. And then one thing I should point out before I forget, because I know a lot of people were upset about the slide into home where the guy's arm was bent, and a lot of times they'd be out just on a bang bang play at the plate where they thought his arm should be extended. Well, that's been fixed too, so we have stretched out arms at home plate. So now it's a good balance between the tags and the runners.
I think there's even an example of that later on.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. I mean, we're talking about, a few changes, Chris? Dozens of changes or hundreds? What are we talking about here in scope?
Yeah, in scope, we're talking about hundreds of animations that were added.
Wow.
And the logic, we spent a couple months writing this logic. It was expensive in terms of time, but it's well worth it. And I think that it's appreciated by all of us. Yeah. I know when we're playing the game. Right. These are things that we're aware of. We always were. But again, we only have so many hours in a day, and we only have so many days that we can work.
Right.
And we have to pick and choose what we are working on every year to give you guys the best experience.
You want to take a look at another one here?
Keep going, yeah.
So this was 17, so we're showing you a lot of
this is a great one.
Comparison here.
This is a little combo.
So this is really cool. So you're going to play this twice, Matt, okay, so that they can see it from this angle. So what you're going to look at here is, Matt, after he rewinds it here, you're going to focus on the third baseman. So he fields the ball, and this is 2017. You could see the inaccuracies at times in 2017 where they would just swing and miss on the tags. And then you could also see there that he didn't branch his throw. Now I'll show you what's happening in 2018 on the identical play.
So third baseman.
The third baseman's fielding the ball, and we'll play this twice. He plays the tag, and he branches seamlessly into a throw to get the double play. And this is exactly what would happen in real life. And unfortunately, last year, these things weren't happening for you, and it was disappointing. And these are things that would, potentially you would lose games on, because when you don't get the outs, they were just extending innings, right? So, maybe it was maybe you're up 1-0, but that could have been your third out to win the game. The next guy gets to the plate and hits a home run. So these are the things that literally you could win and lose games on. So we took it very seriously, and that was a really cool example. I really like when they use all the new branching that I was going to get into in a little bit. The branching throws, I'll talk more about that too.
Great.
But that was a good example. What else you got, Matt? Okay, so that's it with the tags. I mean, that was a pretty good overhaul. The next thing we're going to talk about is the catcher efficiency. So again, playing online games, two-player games, more importantly. I mean, when you're playing against the CPU, it's not as big of a deal because there's really no one to get frustrated with, and you can take advantage of the CPU. But when you're playing competitive games online, it needs to be fair and it needs to be balanced. And one of the most frustrating things, I think, for these guys playing online was that they didn't feel like they were in control. So if a catcher blocked the ball and the ball only went 5 feet away from him, the catcher would stand up, use a start transition, run over and use a pickup, go to the throw ready, and then throw.
It's very choppy, very choppy.
It was choppy, but it also took a lot of time that you don't have.
Right,
so
right.
Inherently, the runners knew that when there was a ball in the dirt, they would just take advantage of
Right.
it. So the guys are just sending guys every time there's a ball in the dirt on plays that in the big leagues, guys would be getting thrown out left and right. I mean, they would never do that. So I think, unfortunately, for some of you that like to take advantage of that, that's not going to happen anymore. So,
would you see that kind of stuff against the AI? Or is
Yeah,
this more
absolutely.
online too? Yeah.
No, absolutely. All this stuff is in one-player game, two-player game. But I guess my point is that it gets exploited in the two-player games.
Right.
Right. And so online games, our focus was we were so driven to try to make the online experience more fun and more balanced and more competitive for both players, so that at the end of the game you really couldn't blame the game for you losing, that it came down to what you did, right?
Yep.
And so what we did with the catcher was we went into motion capture. We got, again, hundreds of animations from the catcher blocking, and if you were to draw like a line to your right and left, maybe even a little bit further back, like 135 degrees, we got from the blocking position start transitions to run in all those directions. We got pickups in every one of those directions from every distance the ball could get away from the catcher.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then from those catch poses, we got throws to be even more efficient. So now when the catcher gets out of his block ball pose, he seamlessly goes to wherever the ball is around him,
Right.
and will have the appropriate pickup and branching throw to get a guy out. And what's even more cool is he knows how much time he has, right? So say, for example, you strike out on a ball in the dirt and the play's at first, and he has plenty of time to throw, like a guy with like maybe a 28 running speed.
Right.
Sure.
He's going to take his time and throw to first. He's not going to rush his throw like he would in some of these examples you see of him throwing guys out.
Right.
So go ahead and show some of the slides, and we can talk a little bit more about each one. But this was what happened in 2017. You can see the catcher, we just made him miss that ball, pass ball. He comes up to throw, and you see how much time it takes for him to pick up the ball and lob the throw, because the first baseman's actually not there ready to make
Right.
the catch. So he had to take something off the throw. Go ahead and show 2018. And you can see the efficiency of the catcher.
Look at how far away the runner is from the bag, too. Still able
Right.
to get back.
And still able to get back, yeah. It's a little dark in the back. I hope it's not as dark for you guys, but
The ball's in the dirt.
I think we
That's it.
zoom in, but it's hard for me to see. There we go. So you see the catcher. If you can back it up, Matt, a little bit to the beginning. That's good right there. He blocks the ball. He goes into one of the new poses I was talking about to pick up, and he uses a new branching throw. First baseman's ready.
It's quick. Bang, bang, bang.
And you see, again, the tag right on the
Precision
arm.
tag.
So all those things we worked on, you're seeing in one play right there. And that's not only additional logic, but tons of animations, right? That we link together in all these different situations. There's 2017. I'm going to have you play that again, Matt. So this is exactly what you guys take advantage of in two-player games.
Absolutely.
Okay,
this is one of the most common things.
And you can see here how long the runner on first, play it one more time, Matt. The runner on first didn't even go right away, and you can see he's still safe. And I want to also add that catcher is not a user catcher. That was the CPU running and throwing. And now you can see how quickly they respond, right? Play that one more time. Watch how fast the catcher comes out of his crouch. Uses a new pickup. And so that was a short distance pickup right next to him and used a branching throw.
I mean, he's exploding out of his stance to make
these are things that would seem like common sense, right? That you should always have in your game. But believe me, I can be doing this probably for the next 25 years, and we're going to constantly be pouring stuff into this game that you see in real life.
Right.
Not only just getting better, more realistic animations, but becoming more like the real life players on the field and doing the things that they do, right? So this is just an ongoing process, and every year we work on all of AI, all of defense, all of offense. We do something for everything, but some things we focus more heavily on, and this is one of them.
Absolutely.
So this is 2017 again. I hope you guys see the show 17 up there and not think it's this year's game. And here's the 18 version of the same play.
From his knees.
Yeah, from his knees. Yeah. So the catcher efficiency is huge. And not only will he, be better on block balls and balls in the dirt with runners, trying to advance bases, but even especially coming home. So on wild pitches, he's more efficient getting to the ball and the pitcher covering home plate. Are we still on the same thing?
Yes, it's catches.
Yeah,
Okay.
these are just these ones now are just clips from 18.
Okay, cool.
So these are all MLB.
So this is just like more catcher efficiency. You can see he's not shooting out of a can. He's actually coming out of his crouch at the real time.
Throwing off the mask.
Using a new pickup.
Urgent throw.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of these, it's not like you never would have saw these things in 17. Some of the stuff you would have seen. It's not like we reinvented the wheel, but it's way more efficient. And we got tons new branching throws and catches to facilitate all situations now. So you shouldn't run into any of those situations that frustrate you so much. Here's a really good, I think this is the slide.
Yep.
Even though he's out here, we're showing the tag, but you can see his arms straightened out.
And another super precise tag right on the hand.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so this whole system's been rehauled again, and super excited about that. What's the next one, Matt? All right, cool.
So far we've talked about tagging, animations, and all the branching when we're in the field, around third base, around first base. Now we're talking about catcher, pitcher. And pitchers also have some more urgency this year too, not only the catchers.
Yeah, so along with everything I just talked about, it was very frustrating when you would hit a little dribbler out in front of the plate and the pitcher had priority on that ball, only for him to get to that ball and plant, make like a two-step plant before he threw to first, and the guy beats the throw out to first base.
Right.
And yeah, that's extremely frustrating. Not only did we get more, we got more throws, but we got a pitcher-specific pickup that makes sense based on where that ball is located, to the left side, the right side, whether the pitcher's left-handed or right-handed. And from where where he picks that ball up, there's no clapping the glove to throw. There's no extra step on the momentum that's taking him. He plants on that right foot and throws, or left foot and throws. And I think over time you'll notice a huge difference with the pitcher efficiency. And again, like I said, with the catcher, with 2 strikes when he drops it, if the guy's slow, he has time, he'll take his time. And that's what I really love about the system, is that it knows the runners. We know who's running. And you can see by the way that the guy, how he chooses his throw type, it makes perfect sense. And we don't want guys hurrying their throws when they got plenty of time to throw to first and vice versa. So,
some examples of that. MLB show 17 here. Pitcher going to cover.
So go back to the beginning and pause this. So as far as pitcher efficiency goes, so we just talked about him fielding. This one is another one that took quite a bit of time in the motion capture studio and choreographing and making sure we had everything right. We'll show you some examples of 2017 and 2018. And what's really cool about this is that for left-handed pitchers and right-handed pitchers, because it matters when they get to the plate because they're tagging the opposite direction, they have to set up a little bit different. So for both, we have setups in all directions where the ball could ricochet off the catcher, all the way behind the home plate, all the way around. So the way that the pitcher reacts, gets to home plate, sets up, is going to be completely different.
So we're focused on the pitcher's movements here. Yeah.
Yeah, so the pitcher right now, you can see he's set up with his back turn, which doesn't make a lot of sense. And in 2018, you'll see how he sets up, facing wherever the ball. And right now, you can see the catcher. And I know, go ahead and pause it real quick. So the catcher used that slide to go field the ball. And just so everybody understands, I've heard a lot of people complain about, oh, he's using that slide. It's all about being efficient, though. And so what we did with the slide, we didn't have as many throws from the slide. We got more throws that will create more efficiency. He won't always slide. It depends on how far away from home plate it is. Right. When it's a lot closer than that, he'll use the pickups. And also if it's ricocheted even further where he can use a pickup and get a stronger throw to like second base or third base if he needs to. Nice. But just so everybody understands, it is a very efficient way for a catcher to field a ball and to get the ball back to home plate. But you can see how quickly he did that and back it up a little bit. And you can see
look at how early the pitcher
when the pitcher gets the plate, stop it. So stop. So the way that pitcher caught the ball, we have 3 different timings on the pitcher catching the ball. So he can catch it early like that. So you can see he caught that ball on the run. So he caught it on the run, and he's going to set up to make a tag. We have a we have a catch a little bit later than that, and then we have one when he's already set up. So we had, for right-handers and left-handers, we had to do different catches from different distances because that catcher might be throwing the ball early.
Right.
And if he had to wait for you, he would have stood up and got in that throw-ready pose. He would have had to wait for you. In the meantime, the runner just slid in safe. Right. So now we can quickly throw to that pitcher wherever he's at on his way to the plate.
Nice.
And then those are all new tags for the pitcher as well.
So all of these improvements are going to just lead to a better, experience, a better field. The execution when you're trying to make a play, we're going to have more animations that are going to take over and kind of help you get exactly what you think you should be getting. You want
100%.
that rush home.
Well, these are the things that were super frustrating. You played online, and this guy scores from third every single time because the catcher can't throw the ball because the pitcher's not ready to catch it, right? And or the catcher can't get up fast enough to go pick up the ball. Right. And again, it just extends innings, and it allows the guy you're playing against to have another at bat and do something, score another run or whatever. So, yeah, all these things are super important. We understand that. This is just another cool slow motion shot of the same thing.
If I remember right, this is a pretty.
You see how quickly he can catch and throw.
Oh yeah, right on the right hand.
On the hand that he tried to touch.
The hand was coming down to hit the home plate, and perfect.
Yeah, Ullman did a great job with these. I mean, a lot of work, but it's well worth it.
Very cool.
Yeah, for sure. And is this another one?
This is from 18, it looks like.
Okay. So this is an example of the pitcher. So I know left-handed pitchers had a hard time last year, and I heard that a lot online as far as fielding ground balls to the left side. So like these little dribblers like that. So I think that's why we put together this example to show a left-handed pitcher.
Right, spin and throw.
Yeah, you can see how quickly he got to the ball and threw it.
So this is 18 we're looking at right here. Yep. Another one from 18.
Right-handed. Yeah, same thing, just right.
Right-handed pitcher.
Same thing, same spot with a right-handed pitcher.
Yep.
Yeah, fielding a spot, super important, right? Especially online, because a lot of guys have a hard time making solid contact with pitchers throwing balls all the time.
Right.
It gets difficult. And these guys, you're battling guys, but a lot of times you'll swing, full swing dribblers that are almost like bunts.
Right.
And so we really need to shore up that whole catcher-pitcher fielding triangle right there. to make sure that it was more efficient and that it wouldn't be frustrating on the defensive side where these guys were getting extra, not extra base hits like a double or triple, but more base hits in a game because of silly stuff like this.
So it was a throw to first and throw to home.
Oh, this is when we were talking about exploits. I love this one too. Did you have a slide for 17 on this one or not? I don't think we did.
Yeah, we couldn't get it. This
So
one's
the
amazing.
throwers
Okay,
are
so
first.
yeah, okay, you have to play it again so we can set it up. Stop at the beginning. Okay, stop. Okay, so there's a runner on second. Yeah, there's a runner on second only. This guy's got a swinging bunt. Pitcher comes and fields the ball, throws to first. The runner keeps going home, another user, and you can see how efficient the first baseman is getting rid of the ball and getting that runner, who I think was like
91 speed.
He's a 91 speed, that runner that was on second.
Guy. And this was also really another common thing you'd see a lot in online games where if there's those swinging bunts and you have runners in scoring position, might as well give it a shot and send them home.
Right.
Well, that was just the thing. That's just another thing that pissed people off all the time, right? It's so frustrating.
This is amazing.
Because it's something you would never see in real life. Nobody's really going to do that. I'm sure it's happened before. You can always, Google it and who scored from second on a bunt, and I'm sure you'll find something. But it's not a common thing, and I think it was a little bit too common last year in the years past. So.
Well, as we're watching these, we're about 30 minutes into our first stream of MLB Show 18, showing off our new hitting engine. That's coming up. We've been doing gameplay, the new tagging engine we've put in. We have a whole month or two of streams ahead of us. We got sweepstakes. We got all sorts of fun things to give you guys, and we have a new legend coming up in a little bit too. This is Chris Gill, Lance Leahy. If you're just joining us here on Twitch, and if you're watching on the archive, glad you're catching up with us.
Did you just call me a legend?
No.
Oh.
We're revealing a legend.
We're revealing a legend.
They said more legends coming in.
We'll have a lot. We'll have a few.
I'll take it.
So we're still looking at the efficiency that we've added. Looks like we have a pop-up here situation. So runner on third.
Oh, this is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this is something Lance was telling me happens online all the time. So you can see like on these little bloopers where a normal Major League Baseball player or runner that's on third base wouldn't try to take advantage of unless he's extremely fast, I guess at times depending on the game situation. This is just showing you how quickly he gets rid of the ball and is able to get that guy going home. Not taking those extra steps, not taking time patting the glove or just turning, planting, and throwing. And of course that can be all kinds of throws, right? Depending on how he's making that catch.
Here's another great one. Urgency.
So urgency in the field,
So pause this real quick. So I think, so we just grabbed this example. So this is kind of shifting the subject a little bit, but it does pertain to efficiency. So in our game, most of what we've done to determine whether we should throw quickly or not comes in our throws. One thing we're doing different this year is we're looking at the catch type. So if the batter is a really fast, so when you're playing shortstop, middle infield, mostly shortstop because of how far back he is and how long it takes to throw across the diamond. If Hamilton's hitting and I'm playing short, not only am I going to probably cheat up a little bit in case he doesn't hit a really hard ground ball, right? I'm going to lose a little bit coverage left and right, but I have to cheat up because I know that if I don't catch and throw quickly, I have no chance of throwing him out at first base. So there's two things I'm thinking of before he even walks up to the plate. One is cheating up. The other one is I'm charging everything I possibly can charge unless he just smokes one at me. Right? And so that's what we did in our game. It's very frustrating as a user to get sucked into a setup catch when you're pushing the stick forward and you're expecting a ground ball charging catch with a quick throw,
and he waits on it.
And then all of a sudden the game just takes you and sucks you into this setup catch. And the guy beats it out. Extremely frustrating. So that's one of the main reasons why we looked at this, not only because it's more realistic, but how frustrating it was to have runners beating out hits. And so it's kind of like the last part of, last year we did a really good job, I think, of being more efficient with our throws. And now we're bringing the catch system into it. So now your game's going to know, you'll see on the exact same hit, if I have like a Molina running down the line, he might set up and make a throw to first as opposed to charging that ball
Right.
and playing a charging catch and throw when Hamilton's running down the line.
Right.
Because we know who's hitting and we know how fast they can run, just like a real life major league player does. And of course, it's going to be more risky, right? Because those are more difficult type plays. If I'm fielding a ball on the run, whether it's bare hand or glove side, it's a more difficult play. So there will be more risk of dropping that ball, of potentially missing that ball. Just like in real life, if Hamilton's batting and he's running, I have a higher risk of, because I got to be really quick of missing that ball.
You know you got to hurry.
So yeah, so it's pretty much the exact same thing. And so this is kind of an example of that he's just charging on the run. It's a little different because he's moving like at 45 degrees, but it works moving forward, 45 left and right.
Do you need to have a math degree to play this game? Is this a 45-degree angle versus a 30-degree angle?
No, just if you're going forward, man. Trust me, I don't have any kind of degree like that, so I get it.
All right, so what other kind of examples do we have as far as fielding? Was this the last one, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the last one of fielding. So we just looked at tagging, the new tagging engine, really, all the new rewrites, hundreds of animations from in the field when you're tagging a player at third base, the catcher that plays at home, the pitcher rushing to cover a ball at home plate and cover. And then we just saw here some other charges and other things where you're not just going to wait back on the ball to come to you.
Yeah.
And you got to hurry and try to throw it first quickly.
Yeah, and so those are some of the main things I want to talk about. But you understand that the whole game is like that. So everything we did in fielding, whether it's the outfielders catching a routine fly ball and a guy tagging it for third, fielders, whatever, the second baseman going in the hole to make a play, back at first, double plays, all of this stuff applies. So we have more catches, more throws that we've added to the system so that not only is it more efficient, it's a lot prettier as well. And we have multiple branch points where we added multiple throws for all those branch points in our catches. So we just continue to grow our throwing library and our catch library so that each year you guys get a new experience. And of course, we're going to keep around, all the stuff that's already good. We're not going to break that, but we are going to add to it.
So smoother, more realistic, fewer exploits online especially.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what you should expect in MLB The Show 18 compared to what you had last year in 17. Who's ready to talk about some hitting engine?
Let's do it.
All right. Lance?
So you can see here, actually it's over here. These are the sort of big things that we focused on with the hitting engine this year. And these were based on a lot of the feedback that we saw from the community. Not only just from the community at large playing 17, but also a lot of the valuable resources we got with the closed alpha and all the great feedback and data we got from there. So we worked a lot on opposite field power. That's kind of why Nick was joking earlier about just late, still great. We focused a lot on the timing window. And that has a lot to do with being able to pull balls fair, keep them fair, right? We did a lot of balancing and tweaking to contact and power swings, and a lot of that has to do with, like we've been talking about the whole time, it's about competitive gameplay. And sometimes, especially online, when you get a guy into a two-strike count, he's just sitting there fouling everything off with contact swings, so there's been a lot of balancing in that to make those at-bats. If he's fouling pitches off, he's putting the PCI on it, and he has good timing kind of thing. We've made a lot of changes to the swing analysis, which we'll get into. We'll cover plate coverage indicator actually next. And then obviously, as we've been talking, there's a lot of online specific changes to hitting that are very specific to two-player games. And then we've had a whole new slew of changes and upgrades to our physics system.
Cool. Before we go on, can I get a time check from the guys here? What time is it? 2:40. All right, so at about 2:50, so what, 10 more minutes or so, we're going to do the sweepstakes. We're going to give you a keyword. You put it in the chat once. So we'll announce that in about 10 minutes. We got some games to give away, stubs, and some packs. It'll be fun. All right, let's move on.
PCI slides, I think, Matt? So this will be pretty cool. I don't know if we've ever told anybody about the plate coverage indicator, right?
The PCI.
I don't think so, but here you go. Everybody sees it now, so good luck.
So this is basically just a visual representation of the PCI, right? When you're using zone batting, it's that yellow thing you're trying to move around and put on the ball, right? And the cool thing is, if you look at the PCI and you kind of split it up vertically, it's broken into hit types, right? So in the middle band, there's a lot of line drives. In the bands above and below, so as you start to go down, you start to get hard grounders, easy grounders, and then when your PCI is really far off the ball, it's a lot of choppers. Going up, there's various degrees of high fly, eventually leading into pop-ups, right? And why we have those little dashed lines in between each hit type is that there's some overlap, right? A line drive, something right on the line of medium fly and line drive isn't necessarily always a line drive. It isn't necessarily always a medium fly. There's a lot of sort of attribute math going on in there, and based on your timing and where you put the PCI, it results in a lot of the hit varieties that we have. So it's not just linear, right? It's not just, oh, always right here is always a fly ball. Always right here is always a line drive.
Yeah, and I would also say don't get caught up too much in the actual words high fly, medium fly. They don't mean exactly what they say there, meaning that each one of those can be, besides hard grounder and below, line drive, medium fly, high fly, those can all be home runs.
Exactly.
Right?
So that's actually what we're going to get into next. So that's just basically the breakdown of the PCI. And next we're going to show 3 PCIs, all side by side. And so on the very far side here, we have a hitter with weak power, a hitter with average power, and a hitter with a lot of power.
Power.
Exactly, power. So you can see here, especially with the power hitter, a medium fly is actually, for a really strong guy with a lot of power, is just as good as a line drive.
Exactly.
Because like Gil was saying, a lot of those balls will just end up carrying out just due to how strong they are.
How strong they are, yeah.
Exactly. And then when you look at an average guy, a medium fly is not going to be a great hit for those guys typically. And then with a guy with not a lot of power, you're really just looking to try and put the PCI right on the ball and try and pepper line drives around.
Yeah, and I think when I watch a lot of streamers playing, I see a lot of frustration when they do the exact same thing with one guy, with another guy, but you really got to look at the player, because that's going to be a huge impact on the result.
Exactly. So now as Matt layers on the next changes here, you'll see how this you can now start to see some really interesting differences between these guys. So with a super strong guy, even a high fly can be a good hit sometimes, right? Everybody's seen it. A guy like Judge will not get the best swing on a ball, but it might carry out anyways for a home run. For average power guys, still medium fly balls are pretty good hits. Obviously, hard grounders are always pretty good hits because it sort of puts a lot of pressure on the defense, like Gil was talking about, especially if these guys are fast.
So we're just talking about when we're highlighting these areas, is if the ball lands in this part of your PCI if you're using zone hitting. So if it's right down the middle, just a little above, just a little below, we're saying that the results can vary, especially depending on the type of player you have.
Exactly. So still here, we're looking, everything's really good here, right? It's all greens. It's all, these are going to be the things that are going to get you on base, drive in runners, hit extra bases. And now we'll layer on some of the weaker parts here. So obviously, everybody here, easy grounders. These are your PCI's way over the ball. These are really sort of like Gil was talking about earlier, swinging bunts, dribblers, not great hits. You're typically not going to reach base on these.
You see a lot of this in online gameplay. At least when I'm playing.
In 7.
Or I'm hitting.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you can also see, so for a guy with not a lot of power, a medium fly is not a great hit for him. A lot of weak flyouts for a guy like that. And then for a guy with average power, high fly is not a great hit type for him, obviously. And then our final sort of layer on here is you'll see a high fly for a weak power hitter, obviously not a great hit type. These are really sort of towering fly balls. Sometimes they barely leave the infield. Just not a great hit, right? So with weak hitters, you're really looking for line drives, squaring that PCI up as best as possible. An average guy gives you a little bit of leeway, but still you're looking to line it up, try and drive the ball. But with a power hitter, you actually have quite a bit of leeway, especially on the upper end of the hit types, right? Fly balls for power hitters can be really good hits.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially when you got a runner on third and less than 2 outs.
Absolutely. Drive them in, bring the second fly.
So that's the plate coverage indicator, again, when you're using zone hitting in MLB The Show. A lot of you guys have been using it for a while now.
Right, and we're showing you this because as some of you have seen in some of our trailers and as some of you that participated in the closed alpha, we had a dynamic PCI option. People were wondering what those different things meant. So if we can cut into the game here, Matt.
So we're looking at MLB The Show 18 here.
Do you need me to do anything with the widgets?
Yeah, I can give you the widget control. We'll be good for now, though.
Okay.
So here we have, let's see who we have it back here. So we have widgets set up. The pitcher's always going to throw a fastball down the middle, and we're going to sort of go through all of the various hitter types: a weak power guy, an average power guy, a high power guy.
Some developer tools we call
exactly.
widgets. Yeah.
So this is Max Stassi. Not great power, right? Not even really exceptional contact. And you can see that represented by the PCI that he gets. There's just a thin little border on the bottom, and that's indicating, just as a reminder to you, hey, this guy doesn't have a lot of power. Probably want to look to square up the ball a lot.
Right.
So we'll show you with some good timing here what it looks like with a weak hitter. So I sat back a little bit on that. And I think you probably want to talk about a little bit how we sort of shook up the lines there, right?
Well, yeah, because I just think it was misinterpreted what we put out there last year with the just lates. And I know you guys say just late is great or whatever that saying is. And I understand why. So what we tried to do this year was just make sure that based on the pitch location and the timing of the swing, and which we'll show you with the animated feedback, it'll make more sense, that we've kind of opened up that range. So good contact actually will spread out a little bit further. It won't just be straight up the middle on a pitch right down the middle with perfect timing. Right. That expands into the gaps from left center all the way to right center.
Right.
So, and then just past that, you'll get the just late and just early, and then foul balls will be late and early.
Exactly.
But those can be good results too. I mean, we saw Lance's first hit was a just late, but it was a good result.
Exactly, and that's this is the perfect example, right? When the pitch is right down the middle, you have the whole field to work with.
Yeah.
And actually right here, as I followed up with a better timing swing that was rated good, the hit velocity was actually higher on this one than just late. And that's been a lot of the tuning we've done with hit velocity.
So when you're later, possibly less velocity. We're going to get into those examples. Yeah.
So here, I'll try and go to the pull side a little bit.
Is that our weak power guy?
Even weak power guys can hit home runs.
Yeah, I mean, he probably had a few home runs last year. I don't know.
And this is great. So right now, this is getting into what we were talking about with the timing window and pull hitting and velocity tuning, right? So we're just early, and it was right down the line. So depending on wind or in a different stadium, that could have hooked foul, no doubt. They're sort of borderline. But it ended up being a home run right in the middle of the PCI and the highest exit velocity that we've seen so far.
96 miles per hour. You see the hit speed there.
Off. So here, I'll try and put one right back up the middle again. A little bit later that time. Let's see what the exit velocity says. I think my timing was still probably good. Pretty decent exit velocity, trying to push it into the gap.
And again, these pitches down the middle, it's going to spread that cone out. So your timing's going to be much more, we're going to be much more lenient on what we give you as far as good goes.
So now let's go to an average guy. If you want to bring up the widgets here and put in, let's put in Reddick. I think he's the next batter.
Okay, go ahead.
So now this is Reddick, and we'll show his attributes here. So much better contact.
Work in progress attributes.
Absolutely. Attributes are work in progress. Don't get hung up on them.
10:50. All right, sorry. It's time to do the sweepstakes. 2:50 Pacific time. So we're gonna do the sweepstakes here. So get ready to put in the keyword. Let me just read the rules one more time. We're gonna give away 2 digital deluxe editions of MLB The Show 18, 2 vouchers for 67,500 stubs, and a bunch of standard packs, 6 in all. And you get, if you win one of these, you get 10 standard packs. So we're going to give away 6 of those. So real quick, the rules: no purchase necessary for the sweepstakes. We're going to announce the keyword right now, so get ready to put it in the chat just once. Got to be online at 3 p.m. Pacific, so in about 10 minutes we'll contact you through the Twitch inbox. 13 or older and a resident of the U.S. or D.C., void where prohibited. And we're going to put the rules on theshownation.com, and they're going in the Twitch chat right now. So you guys ready? And we're never going to ask you for your password or your username, so never worry about anything like that. We're never going to ask you for that. This will go to your Twitch inbox. So here we go. The keyword is, Matt, do we have a little graphic or anything?
Oops.
No, B as in boy, A as in apple, M as in Mary, B as in boy, I as in I, N as in Nancy, and O. So Bambino, one word, put it in. Put it in the Twitch chat only, just once, and around 3 o'clock we'll send out, if you're a winner, look in your Twitch inbox. There you go. I see it being spelled correctly.
There it is. Okay.
All right, just need to put it in once. So back to the hitting.
Yeah, so now we've got an average power guy, right? 56 power currently in the current build. So not great, but not bad. And now you can see his PCI. He's actually got a border across the whole thing. And this is just a reminder to you that, hey, this guy's actually got some power. So like the diagrams that we looked at earlier, there's a little bit more leeway up and down with a guy like this for decent hits. So we'll stay on that. It's going to be probably good timing, is my guess. I tried to sit back on it a little bit. 90 miles an hour. Kind of right on the borderline of like a line drive and a medium fly. So what we can do here is we can try and sit a little lower just to induce some more fly balls. This time to my pull side.
I'll just start
Double into the gap. Yeah, go for it. Good exit velocity, 99. Another point here too with the swing analysis that's changed now. So it's good, which hasn't been how we've done it exactly in the last couple of years. We're grading your contact result this year. So we're not just telling you that you hit a line drive again or that you chopped it or whatever. That's sort of inherent to what you're visually seeing. But these ratings will go from good to okay to weak, and then there's some very specific ones like jammed, if it's really inside and you have a broken bat. But those will give you an idea of sort of how well you're placing the PCI right on the ball.
Your high fly balls weren't flying as far as they should, basically. So we had some problems with that, and what I did was adjusted how we figure our air density, and so now we are using the real equations, and amazingly, everything lines up very well, and that sort of sets up this next video when Judge came in to my office, and I did a little demo for him.
I just thought it was super cool. So, like, we have we get information, just like it's public information. I'm sure you guys have seen on certain websites or whatever, like on certain hits, like the exit velocity, the angle off the bat. With the air density, the pitch, the altitude of the stadium, all of those factors go into a ball traveling in any given one stadium, right? And I just thought it was super exciting. One day Jeff comes into my office and he goes, "Hey, you want to see something cool?" And I'm like, "Of course." I love when Jeff says that. So I walk in there and he shows me a hit, a home run in a stadium on, I don't know, some video that was on whatever. He had some video up of a real life home run. And he goes, "Here, now I'm going to show you something cool." And he shows the game, our game, and he shows the identical hit in the identical stadium. It looks exactly the same. I'm like, "How'd you do that?" It was amazing.
Well, the interesting thing is we can just take the numbers that you might see on TV, the angle that it took off, the angle of incline, and the speed off the bat. And if you put the same pitch with the same hitter and put those numbers into our game, the ball lands pretty close to where it would in real life, and that's not something that happened last year. It's a big improvement.
Yeah, huge. You guys want to show that
let's show the video.
That little video? So here's the cool video that Steve.
So this is an interesting one here. This home run gets hit, and it hits the sign right here, the pinstripe ball sign. Now what you'll notice here is, at first when I do it in the game, it's going to go to center field. It's not going to go in the right spot. So it's supposed to be ending up over here, but it'll end up a little bit over here. Okay, so the interesting reason is it's the wrong-handed pitcher.
Yeah, lefty. This is what's really cool about how perfect. This is how we find these things. He was testing this with right-handed pitcher, put in the left-handed pitcher, and found out his numbers were actually correct. Oh my goodness. He's like, "Why aren't my numbers right?" And then we put in the left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, put in the lefty pitcher, and it'll land over there.
Wow. Because of the spin difference, right?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one here. Yeah, so what we were showing there was just plugging in all the numbers and having the same batter and the same pitch isn't enough. In that case, the difference was the left-handed pitchers, the angle of the pitch was different. So when the ball, if it comes in on this angle, you're going to get more curve to that side. And so just the difference of the angle of the pitch from a lefty to a righty was enough to move that ball 12 feet or so towards left field and end up with the more accurate hit. So it turns out it's sort of proof that the spins that are generating are really accurate at this point, just from small bits of information.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's funny. I looked up at that monitor, and probably don't do this very often, but I saw some guy wrote up there, "Do you think Judge cares?" And it's hilarious because I know there's a lot of guys that troll and they write stuff like whatever. Doesn't bug us. But what I wanted to say about that was the only reason he was in the office looking at it is because he cared. He asked to come in, and he asked to understand more about how we made our game.
Yeah.
And he wanted to talk to the engineers.
I think he would have stayed for another 20 minutes.
He wanted to stay. He was super interested in it. So it just makes me laugh when people say stuff like that. I have no idea, but it's kind of funny. But anyway, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Take care.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Steve?
Yep. Give me a minute here.
Steve's got to get his mic'd.
Well, I think we're actually about to lead into potentially one of the coolest things about all of our streams, this one and every one coming up. Every single one's going to have a legend reveal. New legend, never been in our game before.
Let's do it.
Should be pretty coal. Let's see who shows up here.
That means a lot to me, like being an old man here in the studio. Anybody older than like 28 is awesome. Those are the guys I remember.
All right, so before we show, Matt, you hear me all right? Before we show anyone, we just got to kind of set it up, right? As Lance said, we're going to show a new legend, all right? So here we go. Here's the setup. 5 tools. Not two. Yeah, all right, a lot of legends are 5 tools.
Okay.
9-time All-Star. So,
Okay.
All right, pretty good. 318 career average, so he could hit. More than 400 home runs, so he had some big power. He had multiple 30 home runs and 30 steal seasons, so again, going to the 5
narrow
tools.
List.
30-30, had several of them.
Yeah, it's getting more narrow, isn't it?
All right.
As he's going.
Now you're going to start to get it, though. A violent swing.
Yeah.
A cannon for an arm. And ladies and gentlemen, he's going to become the first Hall of Famer for a franchise in Cooperstown this summer.
Yeah.
And that'll be with the Angels. So we want to introduce to you our newest legend in MLB The Show 18. Welcome, Vlad. Guerrero.
That's from, he played for, well, they
for
put him
the
in the
Expos?
Montreal,
Yeah.
but when he played for our director's favorite team, the Angels.
Yep, and he played for the Angels, and he's going into Cooperstown in the Hall of Fame as an Angel. And
Former cover guy too, right?
He was. We have, I think, 2 posters of him up here somewhere like on the wall of fame.
So you saw in the trailer, obviously the Babe and a bunch of the other legends we've seen. Vlad's also one of the new ones, and we have more to come. We're really excited to tell you about, just like today with Vlad.
Yeah.
So every stream, like Lance mentioned, we'll try to show you something new, and that'll include next week's stream too. We've gone through a lot today. We went through all the tags, all the engines we built around them, from the hitting to the urgency we added. And overall, we just hope it's a better experience, when you're playing either against the AI or especially online against another player.
Exactly.
And we want to just thank the community because they gave us a lot of feedback along the way.
Yeah.
From start to finish of the year, and we've had a lot of one-on-ones and a lot of good stuff with a lot of the guys who really care about this game as much as we do, I think, too. They enjoy playing it.
And I'm glad you brought that up real quick because I wanted to mention that. And we do listen to you guys, and we really appreciate the constructive criticism that comes back our way. Yeah. We really value it, and we take it into the design rooms and we discuss it. Everything. So don't think that we are putting stuff in the game just to frustrate people. We know when there's some general problems, and we try to solve them every single year.
And even what we're seeing today is a work in progress. Every day we're having hitting sessions going with a big group of our designers and a bunch of our testers, and we're always trying to make it better and make sure we iron out any kinks before we go live. Early access March 23rd, and then the official launch the 27th of March, so we're a little less than 2 months away.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So Matt, what do you want to show next? What do we got? Nothing.
Do you have the...
what do you want to show next? You don't want to leave?
Our next stream or anything like that?
We got to get back to work, man. I got stuff to do.
Nothing? All right. Well, we thank you for watching. Welcome to MLB The Show 18. The streams have begun. I think next week we got the Little Things stream. That'll be next Thursday, 2 p.m.
Which is going to be pretty exciting. There's a cool little something in there.
Little Things is always one of those vague, open-ended streams that doesn't specifically deal with one mode. So we're going to throw a potpourri of cool changes and improvements to the show. And there's some cool things we'll talk about. And a new legend. We promise to give you another one.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah. Chris Gale, Lance Leahy, Jeff MacArthur, and all the guys in the back here. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time.
Oh.